the question is not whether individual people who happen to be religious or who happen not to be religious are good or bad. The question is whether religion itself is.
I come here not to bury God, but to praise honesty, full disclosure, and skeptical empirical inquiry, which, alas, are bearing God.
And Chris is man-spreading.
Would you really call it that? This is that.
That also counts, yes.
Oh, okay. Fine, I'll just say that.
Joe. You all right there?
I'm good. All right, fancy pants.
All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Design Flaws.
Hello.
Shut up, Joe. And today, we're talking about nature versus nurture.
Take it in bad memory. No one tells me anything anymore.
Okay.
That was a
I
joke.
Okay, you know that was a joke. Okay, good. Or that was bad. All right, that would have been bad.
So,
All right. So,
narwhals versus nectar is one of the biggest topics for everyone.
yeah, narwhal versus nectar. Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely.
Yeah. That is the biggest thing concerning
Yes.
the United States at the moment.
It's the current, yeah.
That is actually the topic that people are hanging their election vote on.
Oh, indeed. It's the crucial decision point for which candidate you will vote on, if they are for narwhals or nectar.
All right. So, anyways, let's start off our opinions. So, when
I don't know anything about narwhals or nectar.
oh, all right.
I have no opinion.
All right. Okay. How about this? How about this? We'll talk.
I've always
we'll talk
stick
about
with
nature and nurture.
Okay,
yeah.
not narwhals and nectar.
Well, I mean,
Not-
I would express my opinion, but I think we need to create some subcategories, and then we can go into opinions on each of those and what
Okay.
we think, those mean. So I was going to say that a lot of people, there's still some debate over it, even though science has made some advancement in its or understanding homosexuality, as to whether or not people think that it is natural by genetics or that it is the environment that they were raised in. That was one of the big ones. Then there's other mental disorders like sociopathic tendencies or psychopathic problems.
Yeah.
And then of course, I mean, obviously autism, but now the definition of autism has become so broad.
Yeah.
Where does it fall now? It may have in the past be very clearly a natural problem, but now some could say that if a lack of exposure to things and no training, you might fall under those categories. So essentially, we're going to talk about sexuality. Is that natural or whatever? And mental disorders, and even to some extent, I would say physical disorders, just a little bit.
Okay.
Like, do you mean like?
Well, I'll start with that one because it's a bit complicated.
Okay.
And here's the interesting fact about development, for whether or not it would be a natural development or a nurture.
Oh, I see what you're talking about now. Okay.
Yeah, but you might not still. So I'll give you one specific instance, and this is considered.
If you have if you have a deficiency or something.
Sure, like if you didn't get the right
Nutrients,
food
yeah.
or nutrients. But also, there's another factor, and that is literally the environment that you grow in. Here's the example I'm going to give, and people don't like this example because it's pretty bad, I'll say. You have a cat that grows up normally, you feed it well, you let it roam free and whatever, and it turns out from a kitten into a cat, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, you have a kitten and you raise it in a bottle. You give it food and you give it the ability to get the waste out of the bottle, but you don't let the cat leave the bottle.
Okay.
What will happen is that its entire body and structure will grow around its inability to leave that environment.
Correct.
And if you broke that bottle, then the cat would be a bottle-shaped cat.
Yeah.
So that is literally a non-natural, but I guess a complete and utter disregard for nurturing that would result in that cat being that way. So that my opinion on that is that people who don't have the right nutrients in their environment, can develop these type of things. Obviously,
Can we get into anything that's sort of like with issues with veganism and even obesity with that as well?
Veganism.
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
sure.
That sounds fun. I always pointing out that we have two different kinds of teeth. We have the molars, and then we have
Inside
these
teeth.
sharp.
Yeah.
So we're omnivores.
Yes.
That's just how we are. They can choose to live their life any way they want. It's up to them.
I mean, we can bring up the fact that even herbivores are opportunistic carnivores. You might not. Most people might go, "Oh, that's a deer." Whatever. That deer will eat another living creature if it has the opportunity to do so, even if it doesn't have the right ability to process
right.
or even chew the food. It will still do it. There's a couple, I guess, funny YouTube videos of animals being opportunistic carnivores that you just would never expect. Like, there's just a bird and a duck playing, or there's a duck and a horse playing, and they look happy, and then the horse just bites the duck's head off, and you're just like, whoa, where did that come from?
Jesus.
That was a hungry horse.
Wow,
Right?
What a dick.
I know.
Dick. God damn. Well, maybe I don't want to get too much into vegans, but that could be another episode altogether, in my opinion.
We could mix it in.
But it's up to you where you guys want to go with it. I like the idea of more of like social and mental disorder if you want to
Okay.
go with that.
I mean, I think I pointed out that just having any deficiency or being put into a bad physical environment where you're cramped or something will result in malformation in
Yeah,
general.
because we're meant to adapt to whatever environment
Now,
we're in.
here's one. Do you think that child abuse results in mental deficiencies? Yes or
Mental deficiency.
What do you mean by
Yes,
mental
Or do you
deficiency?
mean mental disorders?
Yeah.
Okay, so then...
I mean,
yes,
deficiencies could be a lower tier of a disorder. It would be like
I always-
not mild autism, but mild dyslexia and stuff like that.
I'd still call that a disorder.
Okay.
Well, okay, we're just splitting hairs here.
Yeah.
Right, I'm
Um,
saying okay.
All right,
Can
so
child
I think
abuse...
yes. I think yes. I mean, the same way...
Wait, hold on.
Okay.
Can it, or is it officially correlated? Is it? What are you trying to ask us?
I'm
If
asking.
it's possible, yes, that's a
It's
clear
possible.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
But
Well,
now
then we can move from there.
But now, is there a correlated trend, or
I don't think that's what he's
or,
asking.
or a causal
no,
trend?
but that it would be the next logical
Yes,
question.
okay.
Because it's easy to say yes to can it happen,
Mm-hmm.
but now can we see like a pattern of it happening, or would you say there is a systemic pattern of it?
I would
That's-
say less than in the past.
Well, I would say, obviously, as conditions improve, that these things will digress. They
Yeah.
won't be as common. But I would still say that they're prevalent.
I would say yes,
Yeah, obviously
they
they
are
are.
still prevalent because I'm also a huge believer in your environment has a huge impact on what you are, even at the infancy stage. So, granted, there are areas where we can talk about this too. Because I'm sure you know a lot more about that than I will. But there are areas where chemical imbalances will create different mental states. But I'm a huge proponent of your youth influence. I think will probably even have a bigger impact on your mental state later in life.
Well, that's a hard argument.
I'm not sure about the bigger impact.
I would say that if you have a chemical deficiency, it can be much greater in some regards. It could be the difference between you wanting to live and die. I mean, that's pretty up there.
Yeah, because that's something
in other
that
regards
is
they're tied.
natural and
Uh-huh.
not a nurture-based thing. I mean, you could still, treat it with, medication, but it's ultimately something you're born with and you can't totally get rid of.
You can nurture it. best
Well, can you get rid of the other part?
Which other part?
Well, I think that
The whole idea of the influenced.
Oh,
mental state.
okay.
he's saying that
I mean, no.
somebody becomes suicidal based off of their environment.
You can, but I'm saying you can. Yeah, I think you can.
I think so. I'm just saying that one of them is.
In this example,
I'm
at
not
least.
going to necessarily say that you do have the ability to work through that, because you have to be willing
Yeah.
to do that. But I would say that if you could seek out help, it would be sort of a near permanent solution.
Well, let's put it this way. Say someone is... Do you want to go depressed? Do you want to go the
Whatever you want.
psychopathic route? We'll do depressed for now, since it's pretty easy.
Yeah, depression is easy.
Shut
You keep
up.
saying that, you
Shut
ableist scum.
Jerk. I knew I was going to get hit on that. I knew that. Okay, so say you have someone who is very depressed and possibly suicidal as well, and it could be known that there's a chemical imbalance, but they're also in a hugely negative environment, which is also severely causing it. Well,
So they got the twofold.
correct.
So how do you know which one's causing it?
Well, no, let's say if you could only pick one, which one would do the most help for the person? Would you try to solve the chemical imbalance, or would you try to solve the environment?
I think if you solve the chemical imbalance, it would be better, ultimately.
I have to say, I would say that the chemical imbalance would probably be best to fix first.
Because if you fix that first, they can cope better with...
But I don't know which one's causing more problems. I'll be
Correct,
honest.
and we wouldn't know.
Yeah, exactly. We wouldn't know.
But like to try to fix the problem, you'd start with chemical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's, if you're trying to fix something psychologically, you need to be in a better place initially to start that healing process. At least from what I understand.
Because from my own beliefs and perspectives, even if you try to solve the chemical imbalance, the idea of the horribly negative environment would still push you right back to where you were anyway.
See, I mean, it's easier to deal with that kind of environment if you have the tools to do so and having the mental stability to do that.
It's like you're trying to dig a hole. You can either dig a hole with the shovel or your hands. Both of them will dig the hole. One of them is significantly easier.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I take it as you want somewhere to start. Okay. And I don't think it would be easy to start if you already have the problem internally, not just from external forces or memory. Interesting study about psychopaths.
Of course you would know this.
Oh, I love this stuff. It's fascinating.
Also, you're a psychopath.
I'm
just kidding. You're a sociopath.
Yeah, no, I don't want to hurt anybody. But amazingly, psychopaths really do want to hurt people.
Yep.
They absolutely do.
I think anyone could have told you that.
Well, but it's kind of... I don't know, I watched there's a small mini documentary about a 12-year-old girl from the 1980s and how she killed all the animals in her neighborhood, and she tried killing her brother many times.
Wait, hold on, is that... I think I might know who you're talking... No, I'm thinking of someone that lived in the 20s. I think.
Well, this girl was 6 years old.
Did she grow up to be a serial killer?
No, they got her help as soon as they could.
Oh, okay, then never mind.
I'm not sure what the end result was because they only showed the current. Mm-hmm. But during the interviews and stuff, they asked some questions like, "So why do you want to hurt everybody?" And their answers are pretty weird, especially since that one is fully nurture based.
Yeah.
Her instance has nothing to do with the chemical imbalance. It has to do with the fact that as a 1- and 2-year-old child, she was severely abused before she was adopted. And she just says, because I don't like living things. I want to hurt them. And it was a very simplistic answer. The problem that she had was not fixable. They just kept her away from people.
Didn't you say that she...
I didn't say she got better. I said they fixed the problem by keeping her away from people.
Okay, I see. Okay.
So that was the only solution. Do you think there is a better solution? Do you think there's a chemical that could have done something for her?
Well, see, and that's but see, that's
Dopamine.
why
Dopamine. Oh, okay.
But that's why I would
Wait,
even
did I say
have
dopamine? No, I didn't mean dopamine.
Oxytocin?
No, I didn't mean oxytocin.
Dopatocin?
No.
Dopatocin.
Hold on. Scopolamine.
Scopolamine. Oh, great. Default mind control drug.
Yes.
Oh god.
I mean,
why did I say dopamine? God, I'm retarded.
actually, dopamine might have helped.
It might have a little bit.
I'm
but
not sure, but continue.
But that's where I come from, where I believe your environment has such a huge impact on you that we may have something in the future, at least with chemical imbalances, we have, I wouldn't say an easy fix, but we have like a concrete answer fix, I guess you can say. When it comes to things like this, we sit here dumbfounded as in we don't know what to do anymore. All we can think of is possibly give her more medication because we don't know how to handle
or just
a lot of
put
these
her
psychological
away
problems.
from
Or
people.
well, I'm saying to actually fix the attitude and make her, we'll say, acceptable to society.
Okay. Well, I say we, give her a knife and put her in a foreign country where we don't like people. I don't know.
Send her to the army.
I don't approve of mass killing in any way. Right? But for sheer comedic purpose, that does that does seem like the thing that she would be best at. I mean, yeah. I don't know that it's necessarily the right solution, but it's definitely something.
Obviously,
That
it's the
sounds
right
like
solution, but
it sounds like the backstory of like all those like crazy horror story villains you hear had this really crazy, weird childhood.
Well, yeah,
totally abusive,
in
now they're
fiction,
serial
they
killer.
have sociopaths and psychopaths as main villains a lot. I mean, the whole idea of having these types of problems is considered to be bad. So they make bad guys or villains into those types of things. They make them they make the person themselves worse to their audience because of that.
How
And
about
it's popular in culture that way?
How about parenting that? Well, I'm sure this is like a super extreme instance. I'm sure there are a couple of parents like this, but parents that only involve their kids in, we'll say, logical situations and not any emotional ones. So you wouldn't subject them to any of your own personal empathy or anything like that. If something's
So a
not logically
Japanese
sound.
household?
I was thinking more of like extreme Asian households.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
What do you guys think about those?
I mean,
I think they're great.
I think long term, it's hard to sustain. Yeah, but I mean, there's
To teach someone to be logical is just a good thing.
teaching someone to be logical is fine, but teaching someone to manage their emotions as opposed to hide or be ashamed of their emotions, I think is bad. I think that over time that's unsustainable and probably unhealthy.
Would you consider that abuse?
Well, that's hard to say.
That's really subjective. That's like
Culturally
super
accepted.
That's why
it
I
might
asked.
it might be a culturally accepted
Do I consider it
version of abuse.
Where you're completely shutting off the
Well-
emotional portion of the child.
I mean, if you don't bring to their attention that even exists, and
Well-
you were raised that way, I'm not sure if you're just passing down, social biases, or if you're continuing a cycle of abuse.
Well, I don't consider it to be, teaching kids, like, Dawkins always says that teaching kids about hell is child abuse or something like that. I didn't agree with that. So I guess I would have to say no. I don't
I
consider
mean,
it
I
abuse.
think that could be considered abuse.
I mean, I think it's a
Could be.
pretty stupid thing.
Yeah.
But I don't personally consider it abuse.
I would say that, if the child doesn't get access to alternatives when they want an alternative, then it could be turned into abuse. But if they're perfectly fine with being assimilated into that system,
Just learning about it, I don't think
Well,
it's abuse.
psychological abuse in general is hard to really prove because it is so subjective.
I mean, apparently just yelling at somebody is psychological abuse by some standards.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
that's weird because I've yelled out of like excitement or passion, and somebody has taken it as this guy's just pissed at me, and I'm like, no, I'm in a really good mood, or I'm trying to that you're interrupting me or something. That doesn't mean I'm angry with you. It means I want to convey my concept. Whatever.
But actually, hell's a really good topic too because I've always thought about how it's like the idea of the spanking too. Do you want to have your child raised like that? No. You want them raised with more positive influences instead of negative ones. But there are the instances where negative influences definitely affect a child's behavior for what we call the better.
There's some interesting studies on that, but go ahead.
So, I guess
Positive and negative enforcement studies.
it's hard for me to even say whether or not hell or persuading them with hell is a bad or abuse either. I guess it's to the extent of how much they do it of. Because, parents do things like that all the time. I'll take your toys away. You're gonna do this. You're gonna do that. This is just, I feel like, another brand of that type of parenting, just negative punishment or consequence oriented parenting. So, but when someone is confronted with it all day long, all week long for their entire lives, and that's all they have shoved down the throat, then maybe if they're forced to live in a shelter or a bubble because of it.
Yeah, if they're, like Chris said before, if they don't have any other options, then I might, then I would consider that.
Well,
kind of like, how Jehovah's Witnesses keep everyone in that little bubble.
Yeah, that's true.
So,
and if you don't,
I guess if you take it to that extent, then then I would.
Socratic cave per se.
It's Plato's.
Plato's
cave.
Plato's cave. It's
like
like that.
Socratic cave.
I got it wrong.
I hate you.
Thanks.
How dare you?
Excuse me.
But
Socrates didn't write shit, so maybe it was his idea first.
Socrates don't write shit.
Yeah.
You gonna say something, Chris?
But no, that's yeah. I was gonna say that negative reinforcement in studies has been shown to long term be far more problematic.
Correct.
Than it is useful.
Correct.
And as you progressively use that form of discouragement, it gets less and less
persuasive.
Useful. Yeah, persuasive.
Well, that's because you're not really giving reasons why, which for a young, curious mind, that's what we crave.
Yeah, we want the reason.
It's almost the idea. I mean, hell is used for like, why shouldn't I do something? You'll go to hell.
There's some other ways of teaching that are kind of surprising that you and others might consider even abuse, but actually are the most successful ways to teach children particularly. One of them is letting some bad things happen. Yeah. Mind you, you don't want your kid to die, and you don't want them to get hurt or injured enough that they would be...
They need to have some life experience. They need to learn from mistakes.
So they say, let your kid skin his knee. Let your kid skin his knee. Let him burn his finger.
Yeah.
You're a child. You have the ability to heal much quicker and more successfully than an adult. So finding out these types of things can be really useful, and letting them find them out firsthand is better than telling them just no.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
And then, I don't know, I saw this little snippet of a comic that made me think, and it's along these lines. You've got a parent who's with their child next to a different parent who's with their child, and they're both looking at this garbage man sweeping the streets, cleaning up some trash. And one mother says to their child, you better study and be successful in school, so otherwise you'll end up like that guy.
Okay.
And the other mother says to their child, you should study and do your best in school so you can help that man live a better life.
Ah.
Yes. Now, the thing is that made me think, which one of those would be more likely to inspire the child to do better?
Probably the first one.
Probably the first one, yes. But what does that teach the child?
No, hold on. Well,
selfishness.
I would argue...
But I would say it's more persuasive because we're intrinsically selfish.
Mm-hmm. Okay, anyways.
It would help them, I'll say, at the early stages of life.
Mm-hmm.
Where, and I can tell you from personal experience, that's what I used to do. Was that I do not want to be like that loser kid. I don't want to be like that guy. I want to have my parents proud of me.
You didn't turn out so hot.
Regardless, I could have been worse.
Yeah, 78-degree wannabe.
Just keep talking.
Keep going.
So, I think, yes, it'll help for then, but beyond that, you stop. I think
it kind of dehumanizes the person.
Yes. And it sets limits on it, too. It's like, all right, I am officially not where I don't want to be. I am now good. Do I want to get better? I'm fine.
The other one teaches the child that they can help the world.
Well, it teaches them to be hungry for success. It teaches them to be hungry for achievement.
I don't know.
About the second one.
I'm talking about the second one. The other one.
That's what I'm saying. The second one.
How does that teach? I think the first one teaches that. I think the first one makes them want more personal success.
I think both of them
I don't think so.
But
I mean, both of them are an encouraging statement. Obviously, they're, hey, do better.
I don't
study
think so.
hard.
I think when you put a negative spin on something, you put yourself at a limit.
Hmm.
But when you say things like the whole,
I don't think
you can do this.
Mm-hmm.
That's saying, all right, you can get to that level, but you can go higher if you want to.
You could help him too.
Correct.
Okay.
And when you say do this so you don't become that,
See, because kids
You
are
create-
fucking assholes most of the time.
Well, that
So,
too.
It's
Sorry, I literally envisioned
like-
kids fucking assholes. Thank you, Lawrence.
you're
Wow.
welcome.
That's disgusting.
You think about that.
how did you get there?
Because he
I
said
did
that.
say
Because he said
kids are
that.
fucking assholes.
Yeah.
But still,
I'm
Your
I
mind,
have a very
Chris.
vivid
Mind.
imagination.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. It's
just-
in your head. It's okay.
Sucks.
so
It's okay.
that's why I personally believe positive reinforcement is much better than negative reinforcement, because it strives them to not just do well in their early childhood stages, but it goes beyond into their young adulthood, their middle-aged years, and even past
See,
to their retirement years as
overall,
well.
I would say positive reinforcement is better. But sometimes when people need a fucking reality check,
No, I completely
they gotta
agree.
go.
It's not one or
but
the
like
other.
I was saying that negative reinforcement can be very useful.
Yes.
I just think its potency is much greater when it's used in moderation.
yeah.
It's it's a powerful tool when you haven't used it for a while as a parent.
But you also brought, both of you kind of brought to light a great idea of we're very selfish in nature. We're not. So the idea of you want to become better to help someone else may not interest you. So let's look at the idea of heaven and hell, the whole carrot and stick thing. Yes, you don't want to go to hell. That's your negative reinforcement. But at the same time, your positive reinforcement to go to heaven is still selfish in nature. So to say, I want to be great to help someone else out, that's not going to influence a lot of people either.
Yeah, and I think most. See, I think the part about hell that's really interesting is I don't know if we should do. I don't know, like I mean, it depends on the person. But are they thinking about it as what can I do to get into heaven, or what can I do to stay out of hell?
I don't know.
I think a lot of people will alternate or maybe even have both of those perspectives.
Well, I think it's...
I mean, what did you think when you were a theist? Either?
Well,
Didn't really think about it too much, or
actually, funny thing. So when I was, we'll say, moderate theist, I wasn't religious, but I was just a general theist. I was thinking about heaven, but I could have cared, I couldn't have cared less for it. So I didn't really think anyone would go to hell because I thought it was nonsensical. When I became more religious, I cared much more about hell.
you cared
than
much
heaven.
more about staying out of hell than
heaven.
getting into heaven? Okay.
And on top of that, I cared more about my loved ones staying out of hell than actually going to heaven.
Yeah. This would be an interesting study to do.
What's that?
We asked somebody how religious they are
Mhm.
on a scale of 1 to 10, or 0 to 10, I guess.
Negative one.
In negative 1 to 10.
And what do you focus?
And I asked them how religious they are, and then we asked them, do you focus more? Oh, and then, well, first I think we should ask them on if they believe in a heaven and a
A
hell.
literal heaven or hell.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you're a Christian, usually you get both. I
Yeah.
don't believe Jewish people actually believe in it.
They don't believe in hell.
Jewish
no.
people do not believe in hell.
They just believe in a shittier heaven.
some
question mark.
Sects don't believe in hell either.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, they don't believe in a literal hell.
No, there's a
Oh,
figurative
separation
hell.
from God, that
Yeah.
kind of thing. Okay.
There's a figurative hell.
Yeah. Okay. So we can ask them, do you focus more on getting into heaven or staying out of hell?
Yes. Because I would even argue
It would be interesting to find
to the
out.
point where
And we should have another category for all the masochists.
Or
where
both.
even those because even those who want to go to heaven, they know by default if you don't go to heaven,
You go to hell.
you go to hell. So I think they may still
But it
rely
depends.
on
It's like, are
Wasn't
you
there-
being a good person because you want to go to
there
heaven,
limbo?
or are you being a good person because
Or
it
purgatory
does?
that got removed.
purgatory, not limbo.
Well, I mean, how
No.
low can you go?
I mean, well, purgatory is still a thing to Catholics, but limbo is gone.
Limbo is where all the unborn,
Yes.
unbaptized children went.
Yes.
So they
God, see,
they don't
when you
have.
can just because to me that's kind of
What's
like let's
purgatory
manipulate.
though? Then if that's limbo, because I thought limbo and purgatory were synonymous. If that's not,
No, I
what
think
is-
purgatory is like
purgatory?
waiting souls, right?
You're waiting to get into heaven.
You can't just hang out there.
You know?
It's like it's heaven. It's an ethereal plane. You'd think,
You'd be like, hey, get back in line. Well, fuck you. I don't want to go to hell. Let's stay here in purgatory. I mean, there's nothing to do here, but having nothing to do is
You know what I
better
really
than-
liked? I liked Supernatural's take on purgatory. You know what I'm talking about?
On purgatory.
Yeah.
What was purgatory?
Do you watch the show?
Oh, the
The-
monster
it's monster,
bases.
yeah.
Yeah.
Where all the monsters go in the day.
Yeah.
And it's just
That-
constant fighting. I
Yep.
liked it.
That was
I thought
an,
it was
that was an
pretty
interesting take. Well, I love their take on hell too.
Yeah.
So, and they're actually their take on heaven and angels.
You know,
It's all pretty interesting.
here's the thing, though, that I'm going to move back towards what we were discussing a little bit. It's okay. I have so many asides.
Well,
What I was going to say was I have a family friend, who is still religious, and she does not want to be religious. She's in her 60s or 70s now. And she says, I know I've been brainwashed, and I feel like I've been brainwashed since my childhood, but I still can't leave.
because
She couldn't give me a reason.
oh,
And I think that, that level of, I guess that's a nurture thing, turns it into someone's nature in some regards.
well, that's why many.
What do you think someone should do about that?
well,
I think that it's a slow transition.
it is, but that's why many Christians still stay Christians, or even Muslims too, where at the end of the day, hell still scares the hell out of them.
Shit.
So that's why they think Pascal's wager works so well.
Yeah, they really do. It's surprising the amount of times you have to explain to them why that's a bad argument.
But the reason why it works for them is because it doesn't work on a logical level. It works on an emotional level,
Okay.
and that's where they are.
Not even totally, but okay.
Sure,
I know it works well enough.
it works well enough.
They're
on
like close.
emotional.
They're like it's like Donald Trump. Like true enough, close enough.
Right. So that's why I think hell is such a huge factor. Now let's go into your other topic. I'll transition to that. Going back to child abuse. So you have a homosexual child, and they're told they need to change, or they're going to burn for eternity. And they're told this their entire life, even to the point where the family made disown them. Hold on.
He's a flaming gay. He's fine with
Shut
that.
up. Is that child abuse? So you need to become straight or burn.
Yes, because at that point you don't have the option of being gay.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it depends on how people go about it. Like if they go about it as a threat or go about it as a, like, we love you and we just want you to stay out of hell thing. Like, although they're both retarded, there's a better way to go about that. One of them is obviously better than the other.
Okay.
Or at least one is less...
Well, this is like our world domination thing, where is it? What was it? We had not absorption, but
Emission?
Huh? No, but we had two things, and one of them was clearly always bad, and the other one of them is kind of a gray zone.
I don't
remember.
I don't remember.
Oh man.
5 weeks ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago. Shoot. Oh man, what was it? It starts with an A. Well, anyways, one of them is forced, and there is no upside whatsoever. The other one of them is more that they care about them and they think they're helping. And at that point, that becomes a gray zone because it depends on how much they still pressure them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's,
Would you-
It's still bad, in my opinion.
Yeah. One is obviously not as bad as the other.
Right, yeah.
What do you think about the idea of homosexuality being called a lifestyle choice?
It's not a choice. Because
Chris,
we were
Chris
discussing
wanted to talk about this.
I had said that definitely there is some genetic association with being a homosexual. And in a study that I had read recently stated that if a mother has a certain gene which increases their promiscuity, meaning they want to have more sex, they have a chance of giving that gene to the male. And when that happens, you're most likely going to have a homosexual child. And in the reverse, you've got a very promiscuous father, and and they have a much higher chance of having that gene pass on, and from that, and I think it's how it mixes with another gene, because they're both dominant, from what I was understanding. And if they have the dominant version that makes you promiscuous and the dominant version that makes you not necessarily asexual, but less interested in it, you have a very high chance of the promiscuous one going to what you already are. So you would be attracted to your sex. However, to the issue of whether or not it is a lifestyle choice, I would say that because of mammals in general, you could say it can be a lifestyle choice. We just, as normal people, we don't acknowledge the fact that other great apes and animals in our own kingdom will literally just have sex for fun. And sometimes it's how they make friends, sometimes it's just, whatever. And in so many instances, they will have gay and lesbian sex just because they like having those places touched. I'm serious.
So pretty much just like Joe. Okay.
Yeah, just Joe. But like I was saying, it isn't a lifestyle choice in our system because it's so frowned upon. But in all honesty, two men could have sex, and if it wasn't frowned upon, they could just be doing it for fun. Mind you, a lot of us would have an issue with that since, it stays flaccid if you're not attracted to them. So, whatever. But at the same time, I think it could be a lifestyle choice for even a straight man.
Well, I think the question is homosexuality a lifestyle choice?
Well,
I would say no.
That I would say most likely no.
Okay.
I'm not going to give a hard no.
From what we know, and plus, from the more boys a woman has, the more likely she is to have one that ends up gay.
Mm-hmm.
Like the younger ones.
That has to do with the promiscuity gene.
I thought it has to do with antibodies.
Oh, I'm not sure, but the fact is that somebody who has more children, you'll probably be more promiscuous anyways.
I guess. Yeah.
Those two are correlated. I'm not sure if they're direct.
Okay.
But either way, I think we are almost out of time. Yeah.
Yep.
It was a good discussion.
Yeah. We only went on one or two tangents.
You actually got to go on a tangent today with Joe.
Yeah, that was fun.
We didn't actually go on any. That was nice.
That was good. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.